Differences between accounts receivable and accounts payable. Accounts receivable versus accounts payable. Accounts receivable is the money expected to be received by the company in the future for the goods sold and services rendered to the customers on credit. Whereas, accounts payable is the money expected to be by the company in the future for the goods bought and services received from the suppliers on credit. The purpose of accounts receivable is to referencing money which is owed to a company for delivered goods or consumed services. Whereas, the purpose of accounts payable is to fulfill the obligations incurred by a company during its operations that remain due and must be paid in the short term. Accounts receivable is the type of current assets. Whereas, accounts payable is the type of current liabilities. The concept of accounts receivable are based on amount owned by the entity towards debtors. Whereas, the concept of accounts payable are based on amount owed by the company towards creditors. Accounts receivable represents money to be collected. Whereas, accounts payable represents a debt to be discharged. The outcomes of accounts receivable are credit sales. Whereas, the outcomes of accounts payable are credit purchases. The results in accounts receivable in cash inflows. Whereas, the results in accounts payable in cash outflows. The components of accounts receivable are bills receivable and debtors. Whereas, the components of accounts receivable are bills payable and creditors. Accounts receivable focuses on managing and tracking customer payments and invoices to streamline cash flows in the business. Whereas, accounts payable focuses on the money your company owes to another vendor based on an invoice. In short, account receivable is a current asset account, which represents the money to be received by the company, against the goods delivered or services rendered to the customers. Whereas, accounts payable is a current liability account, indicating the money owed by the company to the suppliers, and appear as a liability in the company's balance sheet. Kindly subscribe my YouTube channel Thesis Helper. Thanks for watching.